On Disappearance days. And I'll share my screen here. This is a song by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. And it's a song of separation of the Vaishnavas and of Lord Chaitanya. Narottam Das Thakur appeared very shortly after Lord Chaitanya's departure. And he was also, shortly after the departure of also Rupa Sanatan and many of the associates of Lord Chaitanya. And as he was younger, also many Vaishnavas passed away during his life. So this is a song about his separation from all these great personalities. Jayanilo prema dhanna karuna prachur Jayanilo prema dhanna karuna prachur হেন প্রভু কোথা আচার্য ঠাকুর হেন প্রভু কোথা গেলা আচার্য ঠাকুর কাহা মোর স্বরূপ রূপ কাহা সনাতন কাহা মোর স্বরূপ রূপ কাহা সনাতন কাহা দাস রঘুনাথ পতিত পাবন কাহা দাস রঘুনাথ পতিত পাবন কাহা মোর ভট্ট যুগ কাহা কবীর কাহা মোর ভট্ট যুগ কাহা কবীর একাকালে কোথা গেলা গৌরনতরা একাকালে কোথা গেলা গৌরনতরা শনে কুটিব মাথা অনলে পশিব ভাষণে কুটিব মাথা অনলে পশিব গৌরাঙ্গ গুণের নিধি কোথা গেলে পাব গৌরাঙ্গ গুণের নিধি কোথা গেলে পাব সেসব সঙ্গীর সঙ্গে যে কইল সেসব সঙ্গীর সঙ্গে যে কইল বিলাস সে সঙ্গ না পায় কান্দে নরোত্তম দাস Se sanga na paya kande naro tamada. Deyanilo prema dhanna karuna prachu. He no Prabhu kotha gera acharya thakur. He no Prabhu kotha gera acharya thakur. He who brought the treasure of divine love and was filled with compassion and mercy. Where has such a personality as Advaita Acharya gone? Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatana? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishnadas Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against the rock and enter into fire. Well, where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to attain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees, in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottama Das simply weeps. So this gives us the mood of the day. It's a day where we feel separation from Srila Prabhupada. And at the same time, it's a very auspicious day. It's a day of great joy, where we can remember his glories, his qualities, his activities, his contributions, and the profound impact he has had on all our lives. It's a day where we remember what we should remember every single day. But not every day we tend to remember in this way, because we so often take for granted what is given to us and what Srila Prabhupada has done for us and who he is. Speaking for myself, there's very great devotees here, Arjuna Prabhu and uh, Adi Purusha Prabhu, who always remind us of Srila Prabhupada and who have dedicated their lives to serving him, and by their example show us to never take it for granted what Srila Prabhupada has given us, to always treasure it and share it with others, and to keep Prabhupada in the very center of our lives. So we're very grateful for your association and for your presence here, and I beg for your blessings to say a few words and also hand it over to you. Um, so when we think about Srila Prabhupada and speaking about Srila Prabhupada on this day, it's like standing in front of a vast ocean. Like Prabhupada's qualities, his contributions, his activities, what he did, who he was, it's so vast. It's so extraordinary. It's so grand. It's like standing in front of a large ocean. So we can just take like a drop of that ocean. That's all we can do. And even that drop of that ocean, just even that can give us so much. Then I'm also thinking about my own qualification in speaking about or glorifying Srila Prabhupada. And then also, that also is falling short Because Srila Prabhupada is such a personality whose glories are sung and recited in the assemblies of the greatest personalities. Like Prabhupada is the one at whose feet all masters sit. The glories of Srila Prabhupada, they are sung in Brahmaloka, they are sung among the demigods, they are sung in the spiritual world amongst the associates of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna. And we hear sometimes about Lord Chaitanya speaking about his devotees with millions of mouths. Uh, when he glorified his devotees, he would speak as if he had many mouths. We can only imagine Lord Chaitanya speaking about Srila Prabhupada in the same way. Um, when we think about Srila Prabhupada and his glory is not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Um, there's a very great Vaishnava named Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, who was Srila Prabhupada's senior godbrother, and also who Prabhupada said he's his Shiksha Guru. Um, and Srila Prabhupada served together with him and had a very close relationship with him. And Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj said, when I look at Srila Prabhupada's life, I can not but conclude otherwise that Srila Prabhupada is an avatar. Not a direct avatar of Lord Krishna himself, like Lord Chaitanya, Lord Krishna, Lord Rama. Not in that same way. Actually, at some point, devotees in New Vrindavan, they came together for a celebration of Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja, and some devotees started to preach that Srila Prabhupada is Krishna himself. And of course, Srila Prabhupada was very, very concerned and very upset about that, and he corrected those devotees very sternly. Because Srila Prabhupada never wanted to be known as Krishna, but as the servant of Krishna. That's why, he started the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Many people don't even know about Prabhupada, but everybody knows about Krishna now. At least much more people in the world. So he glorified Lord Krishna. But he's avatar in the sense that he's called Shaktyavesha avatar. He's endowed with the potency of Lord Krishna. Otherwise, it's not possible to do what he did. It's impossible. It's impossible. To cross an ocean single-handedly at the age of 70, suffering heart attacks, coming in a culture where nobody, or which is so opposed, where the trend is so opposed to the principles of Krishna consciousness. And to establish Krishna consciousness here in the Western world, to change people's hearts the way he did, that can only be done by the potency of Lord Krishna. There's no other way how that can be done. And that is just one thing Srila Prabhupada did, that he came to the West and he made disciples here. That's just one thing he did. And that in itself would be incredible. He translated the whole Srimad Bhagavatam in English. That in itself would be incredible. He translated not only that, the Chaitanya Charitamrita the Bhagavad Gita as it is, even the Bhagavad Gita as it is, that would be an acharya worthy contribution. Uh, Chaitanya Charitamrita, in which he revealed the innermost teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is and the glories of his life and pastimes, and also the Chaitanya Charitamrita is the condensed presentation of the works of all the six Goswamis, all the main disciples of Lord Chaitanya who wrote down his teachings. Srila Prabhupada gave us that in the perfect way. To spread the holy name all over the world. But not only that, to establish a whole society with temples, farms, deity worship, and all the intricacies of deity worship. Establish a theology and a philosophy, which is not so easy to grasp, but he in his books and by his preaching, by his classes, he was able to convey that so profoundly, so deeply. And then he even went back to India after that. Prabhupada said, actually, my Guru Maharaj just told me to go to the West. But him going back to India, that was his own inspiration. And then he started temples there, in Mayapur, in Vrindavan, also for all his disciples to take advantage of. And a temple in Mumbai, which took great, great austerity and hardship. There's a beautiful book written about this by Giriraj Swami. It's and as a result, India is Krishna consciousness is flourishing there and it's gaining influence like anything. There's just so much. This is just, and I just mentioned a few things, and I'm just scratching the surface. Like he established a society worldwide, but it's in doing so, he created so many opportunities for anyone and everyone to engage in service to Krishna. You just have to walk into the door of his temples. The books are there, the practices are there, the devotees are there. And there's so much services which can be done according to whatever nature you have. People with artistic abilities came to him and he engaged them in painting. People with musical abilities, he came to him, engaged them in kirtan and and he's sometimes even writing songs. He engaged devotees expert in dramas or have an inclination towards dramas to perform them. If you want to engage in deity worship, there's a whole culture there. If you want philosophy, there's so much there. If you want science, he Prabhupada is also founded a scientific institution to provide a scientific basic for Krishna consciousness. If you're a businessman and you like to make money, there's so much ways how you can spend money for Krishna now and spread Krishna consciousness. He gives so much. Just one single person at the age of 70 coming to the West and establishing all of this. There's no other conclusion that this person is a direct representative of Lord Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was empowered by their mercy. So this was actually just the introduction of what I wanted to say. I want to read a few verses of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which Srila Prabhupada so wonderfully gave us. um, which speaks to this point. When I read those verses for the first time, they deeply resonated with me. Um, and I found in them kind of the prediction of Srila Prabhupada's appearance. So I'll read the verses. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanandam Sahodito Gaudodaye Pushpavanto Chitro Shando Tamodo. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and the moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Gauda, that is Bengal, to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. So Lord Chaitanya described as the sun and the moon. Have risen simultaneously. So Lord Chaitanya is of golden color, and Lord Nityananda is uh, like of whitish color. So they're the sun and the moon. There's a lot more to that analogy. But what I want to focus upon is how, in what way they dissipated the darkness of ignorance. Krishnadas Kaviraj is going to explain that. So he says, Sri Krishna and Balaram, the personalities of Godhead who formerly appeared in Vrindavana and were millions of times more effulgent than the sun and moon, have arisen over the east horizon of Gaudadesh, West Bengal, being compassionate for the fallen state of the world. The appearance of Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda has surcharged the world with happiness. As the sun and moon drive away darkness by their appearance and reveal the nature of everything, these two brothers dissipate the darkness of ignorance, covering the living beings and lighting them with knowledge of the absolute truth. So then he goes a little bit into what is that ignorance, which is basically everything which is not Krishna, Krishna Bhakti, and Prema. Everything what is opposed to that, that is in the category of ignorance, because the very life of the soul is Krishna Bhakti in the form of Krishna, and which ultimately takes the form of love for Krishna. And so the sun and the moon, they appear and they reveal the reality to us by their light. So in the same way, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, they appeared in this world to show the truth, to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and to reveal the truth, which is Krishna, which is devotional service to Krishna. And then it's described how they did that, how they do that even now, and how Srila Prabhupada was so instrumental in being the instrument of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda to dissipate the darkness of the world and to um, make Krishna appear in our hearts. So these two brothers, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, dissipate the darkness of the inner core of the heart, and thus they help one meet two kinds of Bhagavatas, persons or things in relationship with the personality of Godhead. One of the Bhagavatas is the great scripture Srimad Bhagavatam, and the other is the pure devotee absorbed in the mellows of loving devotion. Through the actions of these two Bhagavatas, the Lord instills the mellows of transcendental loving service into the heart of a living being, and thus the Lord, in the heart of his devotee, comes under the control of the devotee's love. So Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, they appeared like the sun and the moon to dissipate the darkness of the world. How they do that? Through two kinds of Bhagavatas. The Srimad Bhagavatam, the book Bhagavata, and the person Bhagavata, the pure devotee, who's the perfect example of the teachings of the Bhagavatam. So that's exactly what Srila Prabhupada is. He's the servant of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, who carried on the ship, on the Jaladuta, he carried the Bhagavatam. That was practically his only possession he brought. And in his heart, it's described here that the two kinds of one is the book Bhagavad, the other is the pure devotee absorbed in the mellows of loving devotion. So Srila Prabhupada was absorbed in Krishna every moment, all the time. Nothing, Prabhupada, it's inconceivable. There's just nothing but Krishna in his heart, in his life, in his every action, is every moment. Uh, Such a personality is the rarest of the rare. And we cannot be thankful enough and glorify him enough that he is that Bhagavata who carried Lord Chaitanya's movement here, who brought the Bhagavatam here. And personally, my first contact with Srila Prabhupada was through the Srimad Bhagavatam. I found a Srimad Bhagavatam in the library in the place where I went to school. And just by reading Srila Prabhupada's words day after day for several weeks, my heart just transformed. And I felt this surge of inspiration, this change, this dissipation of ignorance, and this inspiration to serve, to take up devotional service to Krishna, to leave all my bad habits behind and just surrender myself to Krishna, just by reading Prabhupada's words. But I still had some doubts. But then I read about Srila Prabhupada's life, Satsrup Das Goswami has written such a wonderful work, the Prabhupada Lilamrita, such a contribution, and in which we can learn so much about Prabhupada. So I read the abridged edition of that, the short version of it, and then I was completely convinced that what these teachings are amazing, but this person who is teaching this is the perfect example of all of this, because you cannot possibly do what he did unless you're pure at heart, unless you are an empowered representative of the Supreme Lord, who is empowered by his energy, his mercy. So just Prabhupada's words in the Bhagavatam, his own example, and reading about it, hearing about it, and then meeting the devotees who were so sincerely following his example, that opened up the path wide open to surrender to Krishna. And so day after day, we offer our respectful obeisance to Srila Prabhupada. We thank him for what he did for us. And we're trying to follow in his footsteps. We're trying to continue what he started, to serve his mission, to serve his teachings, to practice what he asked us to practice. And in this way, Srila Prabhupada will not, today is the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada. But Srila Prabhupada in some ways never disappeared. His Vapu, his physical form disappeared. But his Vani, his instructions are still here. He's still fully present in his words, in his teachings, in his devotees, and our spiritual masters have carried forward his teachings. And we can always be with Srila Prabhupada by following these teachings and instructions, by following his Vani. And that's also our duty to make Srila Prabhupada never disappear from our lives and from this world, to keep his teachings alive in our lives, in our hearts, and to share that with others, and to learn also how Srila Prabhupada did things, what was important to him. How did he like kirtan performed? How did he want deity worship performed? What was important to him? In this way, by keeping his instructions alive and also passing that on to the next generation, will always keep Prabhupada present here in his in the form of his instructions. So yeah, that's what I'd like to say. Now I'd like to hand it over to Adi Purusha Prabhu to speak some words to us. Patience should have Prabhupada.
I don't know how to open this up to. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
They can hear it? Can't see anything.
We can hear you.
Okay.
I'll stop my screen sharing.
Okay, Hare Krishna, glories to Srila Prabhupada. We're praying to Srila Prabhupada, requesting him that we only say what he wants us to say without any distortion or inappropriate motivation. And certainly he's trying to guide us, and I hope I can take up that assistance. Srila Prabhupada, when they glorify him, when they are glorifying him, you opened so many temples, you made so many books, you accepted so many disciples, you traveled all over the world. And he said, if you want to say, this is Srila Prabhupada's words, if you want to say what I have done, please say, I simply repeated what I heard from my spiritual master. The external manifestation, the fruit of that, may or may not be there. But we must understand that the real accomplishment is to, and what's very pleasing to Krishna is we give Krishna what we have received without changing it. I've simply repeated what I heard from my spiritual master. And by Krishna's great, he said, when the Jaladuta, when he was arriving on the shore of a vast continent, of a powerful civilization, he said, these people are covered over by the modes of material nature. And Lord, let me dance as you like. Let me do your will here. I have no devotion, he wrote. Prabhupada wrote, I have no devotion. I get chills when I hear that. But I have faith in the holy name of Krishna, and if you empower me, maybe I can touch their hearts. But with one match, we can burn down a whole forest. With one seed from the tree outside the door here, you can plant that seed and the tree will grow, and that tree will produce thousands of seeds, and we can grow a vast forest of other trees. So the empowerment is there. But how much time do we have?
We have another 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay. One quick story. This is a manifestation of how Krishna, how wonderful is Krishna, how he reciprocates. When we say, Lord, I'm yours, in the Bible, the prophet Isaiah said, Lord, here I am, send me. So one time I saw some of Srila Prabhupada's disciples distributing books on South Street in Philadelphia. And I was thinking, wow, Prabhupada, that's so wonderful. They're reaching out to people one after another. I was watching them a little while and how they're caring for people. And I thought I really would like to follow in their footsteps and accept the inspiration. I wish we were distributing more books. And so I went to New Vrindavan. There was a festival, Lord Chaitanya's Appearance Day. And of course, you're fasting all day. And then there's this big, I told you this, there's a big feast, right? And, I was sitting down and there was the prasadam. And I looked over at the corner of the prasadam room and there was a man looking in. I could see obviously he was really a little timid and curious. And I looked at my prasadam, and I looked at him, and I looked at my prasadam, and I looked at him. I said, "Oh, Krishna." So I got up and I went over to him. I said, "So, sir, where are you from?" "I'm from Philadelphia. Can you show me around?" I was like, um, okay. I looked back at my prasadam there. I said, "Okay, the temple room is right next to the prasadam room." So I went in the temple room and I showed him the Vyasa-san. This is Guru. I told him about the cyclic succession coming down through thousands of years, about Prabhupada's books. I showed him some books, showed him the deities. I explained to him about the Hare Krishna mantra, the regulative principles. And he was like, he had a quick tape recorder. I was like, wow. And then he said, can you show me something outside of here? I told him about the Gurukul and about the cow protect. Can you show me? I was thinking about my prasadam sitting there on the floor on the plate with all that prasadam. I hadn't been fasting all day. I said, yeah, okay. So we walked from the RBC building all the way up to Prabhupada's palace. And I showed him the palace and we talked a little bit. I shared some of my own experiences. And then he had a camera and he was taking some pictures. And then he got in his car and drove away. And I went running back to the temple, to the prasadam room, and there was nothing left. I was like, Krishna, oh my goodness. So I went back to Philadelphia. We were taking care of a little preaching center there. And we were doing some distribution at a baseball game, the Phillies baseball game. And after a few hours, the people were coming in, coming in, coming. Then I went across the street. There was a hotel. I was looking for a bathroom. I told you this story, right? No? So I'm walking through the lobby and there's this little, gift shop with magazines and cigarettes and newspapers. And there were two stacks of newspapers, Philadelphia Daily News. And I casually looked at the cover of the newspaper. There was my picture on the front cover of the Philadelphia Daily News, in front of Prabhupada's palace. I was like, this is a joke, right? I was looking, there were all these copies, and the man at the gift shop said, "Well, you want to buy a newspaper? Don't just play with them." So I bought a newspaper and I looked, it was a 5-page article, talked about the regulative principles, the disciplic succession, Srila Prabhupada coming from India, the books being translated, the deity worship, the regulative, the Maha Mantra. I mean, practically everything I said, word for word, no criticism, and pictures. I was astounded. And they have the circulation is like something like 2 or 3 million newspapers one day. 2 million books distributed with everything you might want to say about Krishna consciousness, including, it turned out the man was the feature editor of the Philadelphia Daily News. So if we have the desire and we appeal to Krishna, Krishna can do that, And when Krishna can do that, so we're all free to desire. One time we had this guest program and right here in the Bhakti Center at that time, we were taking care of 5 apartments. And this one man came. His name was Michael, great big black body, and he's homosexual with his homosexual mate, And there was a man who used to come here. He has a bed and breakfast over in Chelsea Mews. And he loved the restaurant, the prasadam, and he loved the fact that we had guest rooms here. So he would send people here whenever he was overbooked. So this guy Michael made this reservation here for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. He didn't show up on Thursday. We held a room for him. He showed up on Friday and he checked in. And then about 10 o'clock at night, he came back to the front desk and said, "I can't stay here. I don't like this whole, religious. There's a picture of Jesus in my room and there's books about Krishna." So I said, "Well, Michael, we didn't charge you for yesterday. I will give you a refund for tomorrow, but it's too late at night to rebook this room. In all fairness, I'm not going to give you back." So he got into this big argument for like half an hour with 2 heavy duty characters. I said, "Okay, I'm going to call the police and you tell the officer what you have to say and I'll say what I." So he came and he told the officer, said, "Well, what are you saying is completely reasonable. He didn't charge you for yesterday. He's not charging you tomorrow, but he's not going to give you maximum." And he was arguing. I said, "Listen, we've been arguing for like an hour and 20 minutes. You just go to the small claims court, and we'll settle this in court. So he calls up. I got a call from Judge Judy. Do you know who Judge Judy is? She has this television show. I was like, oh my God. So, oh, this is great. The Hare Krishnas and a homosexual, and and it's in each village, and I'm going to fly you to California to go to the. I said, lady, I can't go to California. I have service here. We're feeding the homeless, and we have guests, and the temple, and she said, no, please, please, please. She called again and again and again and again. Finally, I saw on the internet, what's his name, Sting. You know who Sting is? With the Police. It's called the Police. It's a rock band or something, And he said they did a tour in Europe, and he spoke to 3 million people, 2-month tour concerts, So Judge Judy said to me, Adi, if you come on the show, you'll talk to, so I think she said 14 million people. God, I'll give a donation. I'll pay your airfare. I'll pay your cab. I'll pay you this, and I said, I flew to California, and then we got held over in Texas. So we missed the connecting flight. I called Judge Judy. I can't come. I have to go back. No, please, please, please. Oh my God! So I went to Los Angeles, and they filmed this thing. It was like a 15-minute segment, and I got a call from Kumar. What's his name? Nanda Kumara. He used to be Prabhupada's.
Yes, yes.
He's living in Hawaii. I saw you on Judge Judy. It was fantastic. That was fan. I said, what are you doing watching Judge Judy? It's a devotee, And it was so I spoke to 14 million people. I basically, preached a little bit, very little. I mean, it was real short. My father, who loves Judge Judy, my sister called up. Oh, Dad calls up. Artie's on Judge Judy. Artie's on Judge Judy. I say, oh my God. We got a lot of, so we spoke to 14 million people. What?
I saw the clip sometime. I think I saw the clip.
Oh, you saw the clip? It's nothing, But anyway, we got to speak Krishna's name to other people. So Krishna consciousness is like that. And Prabhupada is like that. He had a desire, said, Lord, I'm yours. Let me dance as you like. And Krishna just took it and spread it all over the universe, It's still going. We'd like to speak about Prabhupada in the present. Srila Prabhupada is blessing us. And Krishna called him, and Krishna is calling us. And Prabhupada said, yes, I will go. My guru asked me to do this. And Prabhupada's calling us. We must also go and desire properly and try. Great or small, the result may manifest. But if we repeat what we heard from the spiritual master, perfect. No. Anyway, I'm talking too long. Maybe there's other people. Arjun, what you want to talk about? Probably doesn't want to talk. He's so humble. Just by Arjun's existence, we are and sustained and inspired. Every day I go to him after the program and say, please bless me to be a pure devotee, my spiritual master. He goes, bless you, bless you. He gives us the blessings. Okay, well, where's Srila Prabhupada? Maybe somebody else wants to speak, please.
Hare Krishna, any other contributions there?
I shared in the chat Prabhupada memories. I encourage everyone to listen today if they have time, even if you're doing something else. It's very moving to hear Prabhupada disciples share their last time, their last visits with Prabhupada. Very beautiful. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else would like to share anything?
Gail has her hand up.
Ew.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everybody. Yeah, it was just something that kind of a light bulb went off when you mentioned that anything opposed to Krishna, Bhakti, and Prema is, what did you say, in the mode of ignorance, or what
The
did you
darkness
say?
of ignorance.
Yes, in the darkness of ignorance. So by you mentioning those three terms together, I immediately thought, wait, Krishna, Bhakti, and Prema. That's Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana.
Yes.
You know, it's Krishna is everything and everything in relationship to him, and Bhakti is the process by which to get to Prema. So, this
Yes.
simple thing, but that's just what occurred to me when you said that.
Good. Yeah, that summarizes the essence of all the Vedic knowledge. That one
Mm-hmm.
verse, the whole Vedic knowledge is there in that one verse.
Yeah, and can you remind what that verse is, that the reference?
Yeah, it's just give me 1 second. It says that essential truth spoken concisely is true eloquence. So this is true eloquence. It's entire Vedic knowledge in one short Bengali verse.
Well, that's amazing because that verse, I took a screenshot of that particular verse just now, before when you had it, or not after you had it up, I went back to it.
So I'll put the verse in the chat here.
Okay.
And I also put a link to a very nice chapter of the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. It's called The Final Lesson, which speaks about the departure of Srila Prabhupada. It's also very, very moving and beautiful narration. And of course, we have a program this evening at 6:30. Sorry, at I forgot the time, but around 4:30 we start. And then we have a whole program in glorification of Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Radha Madhava ki jai.
Ah,
I wish we could see closer.
Lotus feet of our spiritual master.
Prabhupada, disappearance. Srila Prabhupada, the lotus feet of our spiritual master. The only way in which we can attain a thousand of lotus feet, we are going to reverence. His grace across the ocean of the big disappearance. Taking the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. That is into lotus feet. It actually fulfills all desires. Yoga is my garden eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From that ecstatic flame emanates. My malignant will destroy them. The Vedic name is the character. Our spiritual master is the ocean bliss. And the Lord is the devotees. Oh, master, be merciful to us. Give us the shade of those famous friend all over the three worlds. And the shell of the topic. He loved Kevala Bhakti Sri Guru
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Wonderful day today, wonderful class. 2 classes, Vasudev Prabhu and Adipurusha Prabhu, focused on Srila Prabhupada. Would anyone like to share a takeaway or ask a question? Gail and Min have their hands up. Gail, if you make sure your question is simple enough for us to answer, please.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu. Actually, that's an old hand. I didn't take it down, but I do have a simple question. I had taken a screenshot of that quote, that essential truth spoken concisely is true eloquence, but the screenshot didn't tell me where to find it. So I was wondering where I could find that. Maybe I put essential truth in the search button. I don't know.
Put
That's
eloquent
what I mean.
in the search.
Huh?
It's a beautiful word, eloquent. Put that in the search. And
Yeah. Okay.
do my research. I'll put that in the chat. Are you on the WhatsApp group, Gail?
Yes.
We'll do it there. Men.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Men.
Thank you. At some point in the beginning of coming to Krishna consciousness and hearing about all these appearance days, disappearance days of so many different people, I just kind of was like, it's like too much. I can't remember anything, and I don't understand why it's this talk about it all the time. And today, hearing Vasudev and Adi made me remember. Actually, I was listening to a few classes I missed last week, and at some point I don't remember at this point in what context you said this, but at some point you said it's not a small thing to have Krishna in our lives. And it just really hit me, and I was like, right, it's everything. It's not a small thing, it's everything. And to, hear this morning's lecture, it's like Prabhupada gave me that. So he's everything really for my Krishna consciousness. So I was just feeling like so thankful, and just thinking about all these appearance and disappearance days of acharyas. It's just made me realize, oh, it's so helpful and useful to mark these days, because it's helping me to see my connection, not just appreciation, but my connection to our lineage, and helps me to be appreciative, but also take it very serious that there are all these people who came before me who gave everything so that I could have Krishna in my life.
Thank you, men. Krishna says, I carry what they lack. So Srila Prabhupada carried what we lacked. He carried culture, he gave us things to do, ways to apply ourselves in this life. Srila Prabhupada carried all that for us. And commemorating those great personalities on their appearance and disappearance days is a great way to connect with them and serve them. And it's a therapy. By commemorating them, we connect to the qualities that those devotees manifest. And it's a therapy. We kind of not becoming them, but we're connecting with them. Thus, we get purified. I can say all those lofty things because I washed dishes this morning. So I did that, and that part is covered, so I can get lofty. Jaya. Jimuna Jaya has her hand up.
Hey Krishna, just what you were saying made me reflect. I read a little bit of Prabhupada Limamrita every night before I go to bed, and it's so wonderful. It's like a bedtime story from my grandfather, and I'm on the last volume, which I'm reading slower because I know it will end with his leaving his body. But interestingly enough, that volume really begins with him like lighting with the devotees coming on book distribution. And so, as we know, I love that quote when he says, "I will live forever," and everyone roared and goes, "Through my books." And it really is the importance of that book distribution, and that's how, somebody handed me a little Chant Me Happy book, and and there you go. And so the other thing I was thinking, just as you were speaking, and then Bihari, is like something Guru Dev has always said. Sometimes you can't see the road, and this is to what Min was saying, but you can see the person on the road ahead of you. And sometimes when you read the esoteric, you might not get it, but when you read of the lives, like Vasudev said, when you read like what this man did, this like Vasudev said, this could only be because he was empowered to achieve what there is no other explanation of what he did other than this was God sent. So it's really beautiful to read all those books of Srila Prabhupada, and also the CC is like all these books about the great people watching Tanya's we may not always see the road because the road is bumpy, but we can see the person walking on the road and following their footsteps. So, Hare Krishna. Happy birthday, grandfather. Or happy disappearance day, grandfather.
Thank you, Jamuna Jaya. I'm so glad they gave you a book, and now we have Jamuna Jaya. It's unbelievable. All glories to that devotee who gave Jamuna Jaya a book. And look what came of it. Aishwari Sundari, is your hand up? No?
I could share something.
Please.
Um, you know, even before like I really knew about Prabhupada in details. In fact, when I first saw him at the Bhakti Center, I thought he was actually a living, breathing human being there. But it was just something about just looking at him, and I always tear up. And then the first time I walked into 26 Second Avenue, I borrowed the key and I went by myself, and I was just like downpouring of tears. And then in other retreats and stuff like with Kastuba and stuff, he like always looks over to me. It's like you can see like the tears are falling down. And I've questioned it for a while, like why is it that feeling of crying? Because it's not like sadness, but it's like it is. It's like it's like it breaks my heart when I hear stories about him and his sacrifices, but I'm also overjoyed. And then I think the tears are more for us because he gave up everything that, his comfort to come to the Western world, where he felt at one point like Krishna, like, oh, why am I here? Like, and he still stayed for us, like, such lost souls. And when I think about that, it fills up my heart that he would come here, something so foreign to him, for us, to save us. And I guess that's where my tears comes from. That's why I feel so overwhelmed. I can't get that out of my head that somebody would make such a huge sacrifice. It's not like you're going somewhere and you're going to have something. Okay, I'm going to have a place to live. I'm going to have a temple. I already have followers and people who believe in Krishna. He came here. People didn't know anything about Krishna. And the sacrifice is just overwhelming to me. And the gratitude, I guess, is what brings my tears every single time. Like even listening to today's class, like I can't stop from like my eyes kind of swelling up, and it's just out of pure gratitude. And that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Aishwari Sundari. You're a great soul, definitely. You're very sincere. Adipusha Prabhu.
Wow, that was wonderful. Yeah, the tears, Prabhupada says there are tears of joy and tears of sadness. Warm, hot tears are tears of anger or sadness, and cool tears are tears of joy.
Thank you, Adipusha Prabhu. Anupam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I'll just share real quick a story in this connection. There's one time I was going from the Bhakti Center to the Harinam back in like 2013 or 2014, and I would always distribute books on the way. And I was going down, I guess it was probably 2nd Street or 3rd Street, and there was a guy sitting on his stoop, and I had a policy, and I still kind of do. I try not to approach people who are kind of locked in somewhere, because then they could feel a little trapped, and it could create a bad vibe. And so, people sitting on a bench or sitting. So he was like that, but somehow or other, I just decided, I would kind of go for it. And so I started talking to him, and he immediately kind of stopped me and was like, I know who you guys are, and I actually met your founder. And I said, oh my God, that's incredible. Like, how long ago? And he explained, I guess, how it was the late 60s, and he was down by a Walmart, he said, nearby in the East Village, and he was approached by Prabhupada, I guess before Prabhupada became, the Prabhupada we know. And sorry, just got a call. And he was talking to him about his books. He was saying, and as he's recounting this memory, then tears start coming to his eyes, and he starts crying to me. And this is a well-to-do guy, respectable-looking guy. But he starts crying, and he starts saying how that person wasn't an ordinary person. He was here on a mission to help the world, and he didn't become, so-called devotee or join the movement or anything like that. But he was so touched by just this brief interaction with Prabhupada that 50 years later, he fully remembered him and that moment, and was deeply affected by it still. And so yeah, it speaks to Prabhupada's power. He wasn't an ordinary human. How many people do you meet in a given day, in a given year like that, who try to talk to you about something, about some cause? But this was totally different.
Thank you, Anupam Prabhu. Beautiful story, very inspiring, especially to read Srila Prabhupada's books, because that's where he is for us. Okay, and would anyone else like to speak? Maybe you'd like to share how Prabhupada came to your life?
Just to save you some energy, Prabhu, I did put the reference for that quote in the chat.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I'm copying it to the group.
I would just like to share for anyone who is in the area that 26 Second Avenue will be open today from 11 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. We're going to have some kirtan and book distribution there, and just very informal if you would like to pay your respects to Prabhupada. Okay.
What time is it, Venu Maduri?
11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
11 to 4. Great.
Yeah. Haribol.
Great. Thank you so much.
The email said 4:30, I think.
The Vasudev's program at 4:30?
That's the Bhakti Center. She's talking about 26 Second
No,
Avenue.
no, email says 4:30, 11 to 4:30.
Oh.
Yeah. I think that, but if you want, yeah, I'm saying 4 because I guess if you wanted to get to the Bhakti Center for the start of theirs.
For the Harinam.
Yeah, for the Harinam.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much. Adipusha Prabhu, please chant the Maha Mantra. You're the disciple of Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. What did they say?
Thank you very much. Who's that?
I think it was streets noise.
Thank you very much for today. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sadly.